As I begin today, I want to try and clarify something. I think I have led to a misunderstanding here that some of you feel like, as we've been talking about technology these last several weeks, that I've been kind of bagging on digital teens, right? And I've not tried to do that. What I have tried to do is really two things that you'll find in this scripture that I'll read for you here. This is out of the Message. This is Romans 12. So here's what I want you to do, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life, your sleeping, eating, going to work, and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God has done for you is the best thing you can do for Him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants you to do and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. What I've tried to do in these chapels on technology, today will be the wrap-up, is to really tell you two things. You are sitting at a major intersection between culture and technology. You have incredible opportunities here, unprecedented in a lot of ways. So the first point I'm trying to say is make the most of that. And the second point is do so intentionally. We've got to have a larger sense of perspective here about what we're up against in some ways and what opportunities are in front of us in others. So we've got to make the most of this opportunity, but we've got to be wise. We've got to be careful. So as we look at today this idea of social commentary, what happens too often is that we're so used to the culture that we just act very culturally. Not all the culture is bad, but we act very culturally, and then at the end kind of throw on some Christianese. What I've tried to say is that our theology needs to be evident in our technology, and particularly as we become increasingly public. And so like this picture behind me, sometimes we have Jesus right in front of us and we miss Him. We miss the point of what He's trying to say. So when He says, follow me, He's not saying it so that you can keep up on what I'm doing. He's saying, follow me because you're going to really find life. So in terms of how we engage the culture through social media, do we bring life to the culture? Or do we just model the culture and try not to cuss? Christianity as a behavior code, that's too often what we get here. So let's move forward here as we go. You may be familiar with Snooki. I just learned Jersey Shore is by far the most popular show ever in the 30-year history of MTV. Which, yeah, I don't really know what to do with that. So there you go. Snooki, as you may know, is pregnant, and she waited. It was kind of a poorly kept secret, but she waited to tell the world that she was pregnant because she had an exclusive rights deal with Us Weekly to announce it. So Snooki is an interesting cultural phenomenon here, and she is a classic example of some of the issues that come up with social commentary via social media.
You're watching America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
Our next story jolted the blogosphere this time yesterday that, yes, Snooki may soon be a mom.
The Jersey Shore star is reportedly 3 months pregnant, something she has denied. Impending motherhood, perhaps not surprising, but definitely funny. Here's Jimmy Kimmel.
I thought Snooki was a baby. You mean to tell me that tiny little person who falls down, slobbers, and pees all over herself is an adult? Plus, she was spotted over the weekend reading this book. Can we zoom in there? What to Drink When You're Expecting. This is what we call motherly advice for baby Snooki.
I will pee in a bush, I will poop in a bush, and I will hide in a bush.
Well, Snooki actually may want to consider some bigger digs for her and the little one on the way.
Don't you love the fake media laugh there? Now, Snooki is an easy target. All right. Easy target. Now you have Snooki, pregnant, and Twitter all together. So let's take a look at the Twitter sphere, see what they thought of Snooki. So what's a burnt pizza, frozen beer, and a pregnant Snooki? What do they have in common? In each scenario, there was an idiot who didn't take it out in time. Now be careful what you laugh at here. Snooki just had her fetus spray tanned, and I think I could believe an immaculate conception before I could believe that someone screwed Snooki without a condom. Now, pause for a moment. What if Snooki was sitting right here, where I am? How awkward would the last 3 minutes have been? Are you all laughing? Probably not. At least not outwardly. But so herein lies part of the problem with Twitter. None of these people have to be accountable for their comments. And as I look at this, I think, okay, what's the motive behind these comments? Because these people don't know Snooki, and they don't have to be accountable to her for their words. So I thought, what's the motive here? This smacks to me of people who are trying to be funny at her expense. Right? But now here's the thing. We forget that she's a real person who is engaged and is now forever connected through a child to a real man. And we forget that there's a real kid involved here. Snooki's going to be a mom. And she has some catching up to do. So the question is, do we sit back and make fun? Or do we think, maybe she needs a different response? And part of it is, and some of you may be thinking, yeah, but Mike, she makes it so easy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But let me ask you this. Since when has that ever been a justification for us responding any way we want? See, this is why I read you the scripture out of Romans 12. Don't become so accustomed to the culture that you just fit right in and not even think about it. This is culturally very normal. So what I'd like to do is give you a different way to literally think about this type of stuff. I got this from a guy named Greg Laurie. I'm going to give credit where it's due. I don't normally go for acronyms here. If you get this app has daily devotions, which is where I got this. I don't normally go for acronyms because I think they're a little corny, but I thought this one was good in part because I was able to memorize it literally 2 minutes after I read it. All right, and I'm hardly brilliant, so I thought this is effective stuff here. Okay, so here's what the T stands for. Is this true? Is whatever I'm commenting on, is it true? I have found that social commentary is a lot like being a school administrator. I will have students come to me, eyes wide open, and tell me in very factual tones about all these things that happen. Okay? So I investigate. Most of it, vapor. This person who, I clearly recall a situation last year, students came to me, like, eyes like, dude, you don't even know, like so serious, and just laid out some pretty serious accusations. I thought, okay. So I went and followed up, talked to the other person, very different story. I thought, interesting, okay, I need to get these people in the same room together. So I said, you've told me that this person has said this. They're saying no. Right? Look back at them. They go, oh, well, I didn't actually hear it, but I heard it from so-and-so, and she usually is pretty good. Everything just crumbled. So first I would think, is this true? Because most of it, we tend to comment on stuff that's actually not terribly factual. All right? This next one is a big one. The H stands for helpful. So is what I'm about to put out there actually going to help things? Is it going to be of benefit? Most people are not guilty of actually putting out destructive comments. They just put out noise. All right, this is the status update on Facebook. All of a sudden, people were updating all the time. I'm cold. I'm hungry. I'm so excited for Biggest Loser. Good for you. Get a blanket, a hot dog, and watch TV. I don't need to know this. All right, it's not real necessary, and it's not real helpful. It's like I don't know. And a lot of these comments, particularly when we try to be funny, I don't know how funny it really is, because usually it's just I'm bagging on somebody else at their expense in a way that I don't have to be accountable for. The I stands for inspired, which is asking about motives. What is your motive here? One of the things that we as a species are guilty of a lot is trying to elevate my status at your expense. And social media and social commentary is fantastic for that. Snooki's an easy target. But that shouldn't affect the way that we talk about her. And it's hard. It's hard to be going against the flow. But that's what we have to do, all right? The N is very similar to the H and say, is it necessary? Necessary is a bit of a slippery term. But as you ponder what it is you're going to put out there, you just think, okay, is this necessary? Is this actually going to be of benefit? So if I put something out on Facebook, if I tweet something, if I blog something, is this worth forwarding on? If somebody else got this, would they think, hey, this is good stuff, I'm gonna post that video on my page. I'm gonna forward that on. A lot of times our stuff may or may not be real worthy of that. Okay? So it's a way of thinking through these things. And finally, this is the biggest butt kicker for me, is it kind? I think of myself as kind of a jerk in recovery. I've always been quick-witted, fast with comments. That can be a good thing, that can be a bad thing. With social media and instant access, it can be a big issue. So you think about, is what I'm saying even kind? What is the difference between just trying to be funny and actually just being mean? Because oftentimes our humor is just a mask for being mean. Or the idea, well, they put themselves out there, so it's okay. What is our basis of that? Right? So as you go through this, I want to give you two other things to think about. The first one, what if this were about me? It's the power of empathy. That's why I said, what if Snooki was sitting right here? All of a sudden, the video comment with Jimmy, or the video I showed you with Kimmel making his comments, and then I show you the tweets, that's really awkward. That's really awkward. Because now there's some accountability there. You just think, what if it were me? What if I were the person connected to this? Would that shape the way that I respond? I think it would. All right? And finally, Christians too often spend way too much time arguing, here's what's not wrong with what I'm doing. As long as I'm not cussing or I'm not being dirty or something like that, then I'm okay. Think about, okay, now we know what's not wrong with it, but what's right about it? What is right about what I'm saying? What is right about what I'm commenting on and how I'm commenting on? Is it even appropriate that I'm using social media to put content out there? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Okay? But what's right about it? We have to change our thinking on that as we go. I'll show you what this looks like. Last week, Adam was here, and he talked about the Kony 2012 video. Specifically kind of how it was made and so on. Well, Kony 2012 has been in the news this week, specifically Jason Russell. A bad week for Jason, you might say, okay? If you're not familiar with what's happened with Jason, it's been an interesting study in how people respond to hard circumstances.
Breaking news tonight on one of the filmmakers behind Kony 2012. That's the viral video about Ugandan warlord Joseph Kony. Well, the man behind it has been picked up by police and taken to the hospital today. An official familiar with the case confirms that Jason Russell, who you see there just on CNN last week, was found in his underwear running through the streets of San Diego yesterday, screaming and acting irrationally, and it appears it went downhill from there. Miguel Marquez has been working on this story. It is a very strange twist to all of this.
It's strange, and it gets even more disturbing. The website TMZ out of Los Angeles came up with some video of a man that they claim was, in fact, Mr. Russell, who was on the streets there in San Diego. This is yesterday morning, Thursday morning. You can see him there. He appears to be fully naked and pounding on the pavement. Police will say that at 11:28 Thursday morning, they had several 911 calls, individuals saying that there was a man in his underwear running through the streets, screaming, interrupting traffic. When police showed up, they said that there was one caller who did say that the man was naked and masturbating. Police say when they showed up, they didn't see any of that. and that the man was taken to a local medical facility, that he was not arrested, though, just taken to a medical facility. A statement from Ben Kesey of Invisible Children, who worked with Russell on that film, says that he was suffering from exhaustion, dehydration, and malnutrition, that he is now receiving medical care and is focused on getting better. The past 2 weeks have taken a severe emotional toll on all of us, Jason especially, and that toll manifested itself in an unfortunate incident yesterday. And as you know, that video went viral like no others.
Yes.
It brought a lot of focus on Invisible Children, a lot of it negative because of their finances and whether or not they oversimplified the situation in Uganda.
Right, there was a lot of criticism. Interesting, I mean, I don't know if you know anything, but they mentioned malnutrition. I mean, malnutrition. It's a we have no idea why that.
Absolutely unclear. I mean, he's described as a Christian and a family man. He clearly has a family because his son is in that video. This is a guy who, by all other measures, seems to be a perfectly normal a guy who traveled overseas, was not afraid to take risks, who did a lot of things in his life. It is not very clear why he would react in this way.
All right, so he, I guess tonight, the latest we know, not placed under arrest, but in a hospital tonight.
He's getting taken care of.
All right, Miguel Marquez, thank you very much.
So, Christian, family man, maker of a video, controversial video, naked, psychotic, masturbating. The social commentary world lives for this, all right? So I'll show you two examples of kind of failing the think test and passing the think test, all right? So let's look at Twitter. Here are some initial responses here. Brody Jenner of the Kardashian clan. Man, this new up-close video of Jason Russell's meltdown on TMZ.com is hectic. What do you guys think? I am speechless. So she tweeted to tell us that she has nothing to say. All right, fails the necessary test. Still no word on what stepsis Kim Kardashian thinks, not to mention Riri or the Biebs had to say about it. But Brody wasn't the only one aghast. Public masturbation, wrote Bones actor John Francis Daly, referring to the previous erroneous press accounts. The children are invisible, Jason Russell, not you. Boom, psh. Okay, so just trying to kind of be funny, so on and so forth. But as inevitably happens in social commentary, it doesn't take long for things to spiral downward. Other celebs tried to make light of the situation. I'm just going to say that what many of us are already thinking, Jason Russell is kind of hot, tweeted Modern Family's Jesse Tyler Ferguson. And in a moment of real class, in Jason Russell's defense, who doesn't celebrate a video going viral by jerking off in public? Now think for a minute. Put the shoe on the other foot. Take the last guy, Patton Oswalt. Put the shoe on the other foot. Is he going to like people making comments about that? So he didn't think through it. Not necessary, not helpful, not kind. What was the inspiration? Ooh, this is a chance for me to promote my public image. And now we've got a guy. Can you imagine being Jason Russell right now? Hey, you're that guy who is on the street naked, right? He's got a wife, he's got kids, he's got an organization. Yeah, we're going to make masturbation jokes. And that's an adult making masturbation jokes. Really? Now, in the cooler heads prevail category, this is Roger Ebert, who's a film critic who's had his lower jaw removed in part due to some cancer. This is what he tweeted. Film critic Roger Ebert, on the other hand, struck a more mournful tone. I held off tweeting the Jason Russell story because I sensed there was more behind it, something sad. See, what he did is say, hey folks, pause. Jason Russell didn't wake up in the morning and go, you know, it'd be cool. Right? See, one of the things that we do to other people is we assume that anything bad they do is a character problem on their part. So he's clearly up to something. Well, I don't know. He clearly snapped. I don't know why. But usually things are more complex than they first appear. And the problem is with Twitter in particular is that it's so quick and it's so easy that we don't pause to think, maybe there's something I don't understand. Maybe I'm not even qualified to comment on this. There's probably more that I don't know. I should probably wait. So I like this idea because it says, hey, slow down. There's probably something sad going on here. That's an example of thinking through things, all right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at Scripture here, and in a couple of minutes, I'm actually going to release you to your fourth period classes to talk more in depth about this, and I'll give you some examples of what I'd like you to talk about. This is out of the Message here. This is Colossians 4, 5, and 6. Use your heads as you live and work among outsiders. Don't miss a trick. Make the most of every opportunity. Listen to these words. Be gracious in your speech. The goal is to bring out the best in others in a conversation, not put them down, not cut them out. That's exactly what happens. If we don't think about what we're doing, we alienate people, we out ourselves in terms of just, hey, this is just a selfish attention grab here. We don't think through the ramifications of what could happen. So here's some discussion questions, and there are more that you can talk about in fourth period in a moment here, but just plant some seeds in your head, and all these questions are available on the web, on the Chapel blog. So what should be the role of social media and mobile technology in public social commentary? One of the things we have to get over is just because it's here doesn't mean that I should use it. Just because you can doesn't mean that you always should. So what should be the role in this? All right? And is it fair game to just absolutely speak your mind however you want if somebody puts themselves out there? So we'll go back to Snooki. Hey, she's an easy target. She is. Do you sink to that level, or do you help raise the level? I mean, this whole idea of, hey, all is fair, what? Where's the biblical idea behind that? So what topics are appropriate for social media commentary? And what are inappropriate? And how do you tell the difference? How do you know? We've got to get past this idea of everything is fair game. No, it's not. How do we tell the difference between the two? How should empathy shape a Christian's view in terms of the roles of social commentary? I just think, I find myself at 41 saying this a lot with people. I've done that. Man, if that were me. I mean, imagine me if I'm Jason Russell. My daughter goes to school here. She comes in the B hall, and that's what I'm doing online. How do you think people are going to treat her? You know what the vast majority are going to do? They'll either be fake to her face and then laugh behind her back, or they'll just look at her and kind of snicker. Right? That's what his kids are going through right now. That's what his wife's going through right now. What if it were you? Empathy changes the game. And it has to be the way that we think. All right. A couple more. What's the difference between stating your opinion and just being mean? Right? You ever, hey man, I'm just being honest. Okay. There's a time and place for that. Is social commentary always that place? All right. And when can the truth actually be detrimental? When can it actually just spiral things out of control? Sometimes the venue is the problem. How do we know the difference? And finally, what should be the defining traits of a Christian's social commentary contributions? If we are a believer in Christ, that should be evident in what we say and how we say it and where we say it. And sometimes holding back is the better part of putting something out there, okay? So what I'd like you to do is now go immediately to fourth period. Don't go to your car. Don't deli. You just pee later, okay? I need you to go straight to fourth period, wherever that is. Your teachers have these questions. They have more. Go straight there. They will be taking attendance.